Hello everyone, welcome back to Big J Gaming, where today we're going to get into the top 5 ways to improve factions in The Walking Dead Online. So, as you know, I'm a big proponent of factions, and I'm a big fan of their incorporation support in this game, and so therefore, though, I would like to see some things improve. And I do enjoy playing, I just wish there were some things that were added to the game to make things just even better. So, without further ado, let's get into it. At number 5, we have customizable helmets and vests. Now, in playing this game, I've had some issues with identifying my teammates. I recently bought the Group Plus Game Pass so I could have customizable uniforms, but one, there's a very limited selection, but it's a good selection. And two, it doesn't work for the rest of your cosmetics, backpack, vest, or helmet. You see, when you dress as like, the Commonwealth, the CRM, I would hope that maybe this would like kind of transition over to that, because it'd be nice if each faction uniform was actually more of a uniform, because you don't have that customization for the vest or the helmet. And that sort of thing, that identity, being able to distinguish yourself from the rest of the group, which is really good for knowing who's who, knowing who to shoot and who not to shoot. And I think it would just look cooler. It'd be a good idea if we could have that sort of thing implemented. If it meant that your plate carrier, say you pick up a plate carrier and you're wearing this US military camo that I'm wearing here, it would also look the same. It would have the same camouflage, the same color. And if you had like a group decal, it might be like on the vest or something like that, maybe in the corner, or maybe on the helmet. It'd be great to see that customization so that each group can really start to develop their own identity in the game. So when people see a certain uniform layout, they know that, hey, this group is here. And being able to distinguish yourself from other groups, I think, is pretty important in the faction system. So I'd hope to see this get added. Coming in at number 4, we have create dangerous loot locations with high tier loot. See, one thing that I find to be probably the most important reason to be in a group is that it's necessary. You need to have a group in order to survive. Because as you can see right here, I couldn't take all these guys out by myself, and I didn't. I had help. And I can't overstate how important it is that teamwork be made necessary for factions to work. So you need people with you to take out other groups, but I think this can be grown. In fact, I would like to see a sort of a dangerous loot location with high tier loot, but has like a lot of walkers or something, or some sort of danger that requires you to have more people. So it's a high risk, high reward situation. It'd be like if you're going to a radiated environment, or there's like a herd and there's a military base or something. Or there are just walkers that do more damage. So you have to go in there with a team, and you have to get the loot, and there's a chance you may not even survive. I think that right there, if you have a high risk, high reward scenario in the game, I think that would be great for cultivating teamwork. It means there's a goal that everyone wants, which is the best loot, or maybe some really, really rare loot, maybe something new. And the only way to get it, the best way to get it, is to raid this place. And you need help with that. You need people who are competent. So it means that you have to work with other people in order to get what you want. It doesn't just make teamwork as much of an option as it can be. Even though I think generally it's preferable. I think to get to the kind of higher echelon of survivor in this game, you're going to have a team. I'd like to see something like that in the game. At number 3, we have making basing viable and necessary, with crafting, farming, etc. See, I think there is a golden opportunity in this game for factions and for single players alike. I think it is possible to make this game what it truly can be, and that is a up-and-coming survival game that could rival APOC 2 and all the other games that are out there that are just like this. But what it needs is a crafting system, a building system, and you've got excellent locations from The Walking Dead. In the vehicles, the weapons, the combat, it's pretty good. It's got its problems, but you need to make basing viable for factions to work. It's much more fun to battle when you're fighting over territory, and you have those stakes I've been talking about. And loot's good. Loot's a good stake, but it's limited. I think if there's a forward-looking goal in mind, like say you're protecting your resources, or you're protecting something you're building, or something you've worked for, like you've reinforced, maybe you built a base, you built something on the sanctuary, and you decided that you want to expand or something like that. Having those stakes, being able to build and to harvest resources, to farm, protecting things like that, I think would be great for the game. It'd be great to see for factions because they could coalesce around these things. They could customize these locations. They could have something to fight for. There'd be actual battles for resources. It wouldn't just be mindlessly just shooting just to get the next, I don't know, M16 with 5 bullets in it. And I would love to see that. I think a lot of people would like to see that. And if anything, that needs to be added as if we're talking about new features relatively soon. After combat logging is fixed, of course. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have official tournaments and events. See, I love competing. I think most people can agree competition is good. It's fun, especially when you're all friends. But in here, I think it would benefit the game most if there were competitions, hosted either by mods or the developer, or even just within the community, and you compete for things. I don't know what you would compete for. Maybe prestige, maybe there's a trophy, or maybe there's an exclusive item that your group gets in the game, or something like that, or maybe a statue. That would be pretty cool. But I think this sort of thing, this incentive for competition, is really important. The more competition we have, the better. And it's going to make people interested in the faction system. If we can make a healthy, competitive environment where we can all be friends with one another, but we can be competing for titles or rewards and enjoy the game, have fun, that's going to attract those normal players, those people who play by themselves or who are just getting into the game. They're going to want to play. And I think that would be an excellent way to draw people in. As I've said, speaking in favor of the factions, that is what makes them worthwhile. And if anything, this will probably be the best way to improve upon that and making it an ironclad recruitment strategy for factions. Coming in at number 1, we have less KOS of randoms and more faction versus faction. Now, if anything is more discouraging for a new player, it's probably getting killed by like 7 or 8 people with machine guns fully loaded, dressed as soldiers. The player feels like that they're playing a game where they don't have a chance, that they can't succeed. That's not good. I know I'm guilty of this myself, and I think all of us are to an extent. But the less of that we do, that person could be the next recruit, and maybe even an officer or a high-ranking member of your faction. Could be a valuable asset, you never know. I find that if we want to foster a faction-based community, we need to be welcoming to all the newer players who may have just played for the first time. Show that we're willing to bring them in, even if they're new, that we don't have a hostility toward new players, like maybe you might see in some games like Rust or DayZ. Having that appeal means that newer players are going to want to play and they're going to stick around. As I've said before in the faction video, that is key. You need to bring them in, hook them, line, and sinker. And you need to keep them. Best way to do that is to give them a small friend group that they play with, or a large one. Either way. So, not just killing them all the time, as well as bringing them to more battles with other groups who all have their little communities. That is important. I think, just to throw a little something else in there that I didn't put in the title, maybe remove faction damage completely, because you can still do it with melee weapons. That would also be great, so I can't just punch my teammate to death. You know, I don't want to do that. But keeping in the spirit of being a good teammate, we need less KOS. We need more recruitment. The more that we get, and the more faction on faction we have instead to make up for that lack of KOS, I think the better the game is going to become. It'll be more factionalized, there'll be less individual players, but I think that'll be good. That means there'll be more large-scale battles, which I think are the most exciting. So I hope to see this in the future. I really do. You know, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I appreciate if you did watch this far. Please leave a like, subscribe, and if you have anything you want to say, maybe you disagree with me, maybe you have something else you want to see in another video, please leave a comment. That's all from me. Have a great day. Much love.